Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you another feature match for the week. Today I am showing off primarily James's deck. It was a pretty fun tree list. He called it Regret. I joked around and called it Grusbalesta's Treehouse because it was a tree deck that revolved around kind of Grusbalesta and having a bunch of different stones and kind of some shenanigans there. So definitely more of a chill, fun deck. And he's playing against Tyler, who is playing the RG Sylvia Agro that we have seen him play before. They just happen to get paired up at locals, and I thought that that would be a fun kind of matchup to show off. So the whole idea of James's list is he has a very, very large stone deck that every stone is different, so that Grusbalesta gets really, really large, really, really fast. And then it's backed up by tree to be able to bring out Alice and kind of have this kind of stabilization. And it's got some pretty fun little texts to kind of help support Alice in it as well. So we'll see how this goes. They're going to go ahead and roll to see who's going to go first. It looks like Yggdrasil is probably going to be on the play. James calls his first stone, hits a white magic stone, and just passes. So the risk of James's deck is 100% his stone base here. Having so many different stones means that he just might not get the stuff that he wants. Tyler plays a Rook Egg, passes back. James gets a Gusting Skies, and then plays a Magic Stone Analysis, which helps him get another one of the basic stones he needs. And then he'll play a Sacred Elf using that green that he grabbed, which is pretty good. So now he's kind of ramped ahead a little bit, which is pretty nice. Tyler's going to play a Lancelot and then swing. James is just going to take that damage, going down to 34. Being that he's Yggdrasil, he's not necessarily too worried about taking damage. Because he's just, going to be able to do what he needs to do later. James is going to play a Rewriting Laws to recover those stones. All of his stones can tap for any color this turn, which is really nice. He's going to play a Red Riding Hood and then a Blessing of Yggdrasil, which is going to grab him another stone. If I was James, I would grab that Ruler's Memoria. Yep, it comes into play tapped anyway, so at least this way he's got a stone that can produce every color, and he passes back. Now his Red Riding Hood is a 7/7, so it can technically beat the Lancelot there, which is pretty good. Tyler's going to play a Red Riding Hood as well, and then put a Rapid Growth on to Lancelot, which will make him be able to burn something. He's going to burn Red Riding Hood for 7, and then he's going to go ahead and block the Lancelot with the Sacred Elf, which makes sense. I mean, technically, then he's ramped 0, but then he's prevented another damage for a turn, so it's pretty good. Tapping for stone, hits a First Light's Memoria. Pays 2 to cast a Red Riding Hood. He has 7 stones at this point, so it has first strike and everything else. He's going to block with the Rook Egg after I'm going to search out to grab a Priscia, Pursuant of Exploding Flame. Great card for red aggro. He'll play his Grusbalesta, and then he'll also play. He's wondering whether or not he's going to trigger Grusbalesta's effect. he's explaining it to Tyler. That Grusbalesta is very, very large at this point. He has 7 stones that are all different, and so Grusbalesta has a +7/+7 buff. And will then have, swiftness and everything else that comes with it. So then he's going to cast Blessing of Yggdrasil. So now he's got a +8/+8 buff. So he can pretty much kill anything here. He's going to go ahead and swing into the Lancelot, blocks with the Red Riding Hood, which will get Tyler a stone. Tyler taps for another stone. If I was Tyler in this situation, I probably would have just done Judgment. I could have killed the Red Riding Hood, and then still been able to pump up the Lancelot, which would then ping, because in his hand he's got those demon flames, right? So he could go flip Sylvia, kill Red Riding Hood, recover 3 stones, pump up Lancelot, swing it face, burn for 10, or burn Grusbalesta for 7, hit him for 10, and then use that demon flame like he's doing right now to just kill him. And then he could also swing with Sylvia and get another 1,000 damage in. So he put James down to 4 with a clear board, and dealing with the J ruler and all other kinds of stuff. And I think he'd just probably be in a better position here. Out comes Excalibur X. So when Alice comes into play, she's going to be very, very large. It's a tree. Tyler's making sure he understands how Excalibur X works. And then James is casting his last card, which is just a Blessing of Yggdrasil. So at this point, James is in a pretty bad shape, because James has no cards in his hand, and he just has to rely on purely on Alice when she comes out, which is not a good position for him to be in. The advantage for Tyler here is that he can sit on his creatures for a turn. Like, he can just wait and put some play his creatures out in a way that he will, get him just above 100 but not trigger it yet. So, like, he can play this Priscia, he can play that Flame Sprite in his hand. Oh, he's going to play an Athena, which makes sense as well. So he can, with all this damage, he can actually get him really, really close. He'll put him down to 400. So next turn, actually, Tyler's in a good shape here, because what he can do is he can burn them both, burn both people using Athena to trigger Alice, and then all that damage just gets slammed at Alice from all those creatures, which is really, really nice for him to be able to kind of manipulate things like that. Tyler taps for a stone. Plus, he'd have that huge Athena to pump it up. The good move here, I think, would be to play the Flame Sprite and then do it. But he's going to go ahead and just swing with the Lance and trigger the Alice. So now that Alice is 1919, if it's targeted by anything, he has to pay an extra 4. So the other thing here that he could do is he has that Demon Flame in his hand, right? So he could just ping with Athena. It'll do 100 damage to the Alice, and then Demon Flame it. And then he's just good to go and swing in with the other 2 creatures. Instead, Tyler's going to kind of do the opposite. He just jams a Priscia into it, lets it die, burns it for 5, and then he's just going to go ahead and Demon Flame it and pay the extra 4. Oh, and then the one card he happened to top deck was another Alice, so that is pretty unfortunate. So he's going to have to wait. I mean, he can still do the exact same thing next turn. Once the first Alice is dead, he just waits, pings it with Athena during the upkeep or something like that, and then it'll just die. So he plays the Flame Sprite and then passes. if I was James, I would have actually let that kill go through, and then when he tried to kill you with Athena, oh no, that's, and then when he tried to spend will to kill you with the burning of Athena, then you flash in because you make Tyler use more resources that way. You know, because you can quick cast either way. The problem is if he did it smartly, then he could kind of punish. So doing it then when he still had an Alice on board also kind of makes sense. So he's playing to try to kill the Athena. Tyler's going to burn himself for 1 to try to pump him up. In response, he's going to pump up even more. And then he's going to kill the Lancelot. And then pass. Tyler taps for a stone. Swings for 200 in the air. That damage goes through to Alice. Just going to play the Demon Flame and kill it. And then he just plays the Flame Strike that he has in his hand and swings in the air for 2, and it finishes the game. So that is it for game 1. Let's go to game 2. So with the Flame Sprites and Demon Flames, Tyler kind of has an advantage to be able to manipulate around Alice a little bit. Being able to swing in and force that damage to go to Alice and then use things like Demon Flames to get her out of the way is pretty clever. Especially, you know, same thing with like Athena. Like spend 1, burn him 1, that damage is technically on Alice, and you can Demon Flame and stuff like that. So that's kind of how you can manipulate the play a little bit. But we'll see if James is able to kind of make something stick a little bit better before Alice gets triggered this game. James is going to call for a stone, hits a light basic stone again, and just passes the turn. So he's got double Grusbalesta in hand. Does have a rewriting laws. Tyler's going to play that first turn Gwen, which is good for him. Taps for a stone, hits a Yggdrasil's Memoria. He's going to go ahead and cast Blessing of Yggdrasil, which makes sense. Again, I would grab the Ruler's Memoria here. I don't know why he wouldn't just grab the Ruler's Memoria. It makes the most sense. It gets him every color, but he does grab the green-black. If it's going to come into play tapped anyway, you might as well grab something that gives you access to every color, I think. Taps for second stone. So we have 2 destructive assaults, which is obviously to try to destroy the Excalibur X. Plays a Guinevere. Gwen is going to sacrifice herself. He's going to get to draw 2 and discard 1. Discards the Athena and then passes the turn. Goes to James' turn. We recover. Tap for a stone. We hit a Aloof Researcher's Memoria. I think the rewriting's coming out. Yep, the rewriting's coming out because this means that this turn James can play Grusbalesta and that Sacred Elf, which would be good. Oh, but he's not. He's just playing double Sacred Elf. I want to play the Grusbalesta there. I guess he's trying to... I mean, it makes sense. He's waiting to be able to grab the Melfi. He's going to float the will in response to the Flame King shout. Out comes Aprisia. Aprisia's going to swing in. He's going to take the damage, take the 300, and then at the end phase, I assume flash in the Melfi. Yep. And plays with the 2 floating will comes in the Melfi. Taps for a stone. It's a light vapors. Got a magic stone analysis. He's got to actually cast the magic stone analysis. Getting a little bit ahead of himself. I probably wouldn't have used the black. I mean, he can grab the basic black, so that doesn't really necessarily matter. But he's going to go ahead and try and ramp kind of as hard as possible here. Casts the Grusbalesta. He is then getting. He has a 6 strength bonus. Grusbalesta is going to swing. +6 to his defense and attack. He's not going to sacrifice any of his stones to cycle. Tyler's going to just sacrifice it to Gwen, dealing 500 damage to James. Gets to draw 1 and discard 1, or draw 2, discard 1. Makes sense, you know, it kind of, you know, wastes James' attack. It makes him be able to see more cards in his deck, all kinds of stuff. He's going to discard 1 of those destructive assaults, and then he's going to go ahead and play. So that was actually really clever of Tyler. So now he plays the Prisia and then just kills that Guinevere. So now he's cleared the board, and Tyler is going to have to kind of climb his way back at this point. Does have a lot more cards in his hand than James does, though, which is to the benefit of Tyler, especially since he's playing aggro. So he's going to play a Flame Sprite, ping Grusbalesta for 1, then play Demon Flame. Then out comes a Lancelot, who's going to swing into the Melfi, actually, which is also a good play. I'm not, well, maybe not, because with the Prisia, he's going to take the crackback is going to be very intense. He only has to pay 2 will to make 2 green, right? To be able to make the Prisia suddenly that much bigger. It's not a void cost, I don't think. He has to actually pay the green. So he's doing some math here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is just any color, but I believe it has to be green to kill the Prisia, or to kill the Lancelot, and then he's going to play another Grusbalesta and attack the Flame Sprite. Then pass the turn. Tyler has to tap for another stone. Gets another red fire magic stone. So he's got loads of demon flames in his hand. So he's got lots of opportunities. So he's gonna lightning strike the Grusbalesta and demon flame the Grusbalesta. So he's got double demon flame destructive assault in his hand. So not a lot of creatures, but certainly a lot of other things. So he's gonna recover, tap for stone, because there's nothing else for Tree to do. So you see in his hand, he's got Alice plus Flak Jacket, which is an interesting little combination that we'll get into here in a little bit. So he's going to pump up Prisia an additional 8. He could have pumped her up 2 during the main phase if it is truly a void cost effect and would have dealt 2 more damage. Or he could have left some will up. I honestly, I like that Flak Jacket a lot, but I probably would have put it on the Prisia because it just prevents all damage. And then because Sylvia's going to flip here, and if you prevented all damage, then you just get into this kind of race situation. Whereas now that Prisia is now dead, out comes a Flame Sprite, and we're going to be dealing with all this damage. So 16 damage there. Or sorry, 12 damage, putting it down to 16 life because of the Sylvia and the Flame Sprite. Recovers. Tap for stone. he's going to put out an Alice. Yep, puts out the Alice. I honestly would probably quick cast it rather than, might as well just wait. By doing that, he's kind of telegraphed now that he's got an Alice. But I would wait because he can. I'd wait for the reason of the fact that he can cast the second Alice from his hand when the first Alice is maybe about to die, and thus the second Alice is going to be a little bit more protected because a Excalibur X will already be out on the field, which is pretty good for him. So he's going to cast the Blessings of Yggdrasil, grab a Brutal Conqueror's Memoria. Again, I would probably just grab the Ruler's Memoria, because it's going to come in tapped anyway. Having access to all 5 colors on a stone is pretty important. And then he just passes, which makes the most sense. There's no reason for him to flip, to suddenly cast that Alice and give Tyler a target. So Lancelot's going to come out. He's going to swing for 6. He's going to swing for 10. So he's going to trigger Alice. So there's Excalibur X. There's that. It's technically not a trigger. It's a replacement effect. So you can't really respond to Yggdrasil. I'm bad and didn't say that. But that's what you can do. So the Destructive Assault's going to get spent on the Excalibur X, which will then kill that. And then he can Demon Flame her. And just double Demon Flame her, which doesn't make any sense. You should have just used the... Oh, it does kind of make sense. He wants to get that damage in with Flame Strike to finish the game in. But in flashes that second Alice's. Like I said, it was very well timed. So... Now Tyler is out of cards in his hand. He's staring down an Alice, and he's got to deal with whatever else is coming out, especially when that Flak Jacket comes onto the play. Because that Flak Jacket just says this creature can't take damage. That Ruler's Memoria is going to come into play tapped, but it doesn't matter. He's got so much will. So he plays the Flak Jacket on the Alice's Little Scout, paying properly. So now Alice prevents all damage, and Alice takes, redirects all the damage from James to him. So at this point, so he can kill the Lancelot, and then he can kill the Sylvia. And so at this point, because he's already used those Destructive Assaults, in sense that he discarded one and played one, if Tyler doesn't have any kind of addition hate, he literally can't kill James, because James can't take any damage. So Tyler's kind of thinking about it. He's like, I don't even know if I can get through this. He's already used both Destructive Assaults. Thinking about whether or not he even has any addition hate at this point. Draws for turn, recovers, and then I think he's just going to scoop the game here, which makes sense if he doesn't have any addition hate. If he knows he doesn't have any addition hate left in the deck, then there's no point, because he can't even do any kind of silly things to do Demon Flame or anything else like that. Alice just can't take damage. So nothing's going to stick. So he is going to go ahead and scoop the game at that point, and we're going to go to game 3. So Tyler is hoping that things go a little bit smoother for him this time. And James is probably hoping for a similar kind of position where he can kind of keep clearing the board and keep things focused until he can get something set up nicely. Away goes the Magic Stone Analysis. Oh, those are what he's keeping. He keeps the Alice. So he ships 1. So he did that kind of backwards. It's a little confusing. So he's got an Apollo, Grusbalesta, an Alice, and a Magic Stone Analysis, which is a pretty good hand. and then he's got a Sacred Elf as well. So Tyler's going to play that first, get that play, grabs the red stone, Firestone, plays a Guinevere to try to draw because he wants to see those destructive assaults, and now he knows not to let go of them until he's absolutely ready to go. James calls for plays his Apollo, calls his first stone, hits a first Flight's Memoria, which means that he can ramp on his first turn, which is good for him. Plays the Flame Strike and passes. Tyler's going to tap for stone, hit another Fire Magic Stone. He can play that Lance and swing. That's definitely an option at this point. He's also got a Heavenly Gust in hand, which is very good for him right now. So he is going to play the Lance and swing. He's going to take 600 damage. Going to recover. Magic Stone analysis. Gets a second stone. I'd imagine probably a green stone. Maybe not though. Gets the black. Which makes sense. He wants to be able to play Grusbalesta next turn. Making sure that's what he wants to grab. And then just passes. I mean, it makes sense. He doesn't really have anything else to cast. That was why I maybe would have grabbed the green and then played the Red Riding Hood, because that also just ramps if he tries to swing. You just block it. Plays double Rook Egg. Debating, I think, whether or not to sacrifice one of his Rook Eggs now to get a free search. He's going to swing in for 6 at 6 damage. He's going to target the Sacred Elf for the burn effect of Lancelot. And then he's going to, in response to that, play Rapid Growth. So that will burn out the there, and he'll do another 1,000 damage, and then he's going to swing with a Guinevere, which will put him down to 22. Sorry for the delay there on the life track. So James just plays a Excalibur X during his turn and then passes, which actually works out really well to Tyler's favor, because he can just start putting James in a position where he can force Yggdrasil on his terms. So he's going to crack the Rook Egg trigger, and then Gwen will resolve. He gets to grab any creature he wants. I'd probably grab Priscia here. Grab the Flame Sprite, which is interesting. That kind of makes sense too for the flying damage. Hits another Flame Strike off the Rook Egg. That's pretty funny. Probably discard the Rapid Growth, but he discards the Lightning Strike instead. He's going to go ahead and play another Guinevere. I wouldn't heavily gust yet. There's no reason to, especially since another Excalibur X is about to come out. So he'll swing for 2 after swinging for the 6, putting him down to 14. I probably used that Rapid Growth Engrave after moving to blockers, get that extra 4 damage in, put him at 10. So then again he can manipulate James's life on his speed, on his terms. Out comes that Grusbalesta. Looks like he is actually going to trigger Grusbalesta's effect. He's going to float the rest of the will and sacrifice 4 stones to get 4 new stones. I wish they came into play recovered. I think that would make Grusbalesta a much more powerful card. But still, cycling out bad stones to get better stones can be helpful. It's going to swing at the Lancelot. He'll just block with the Rook Egg, which makes the most sense. It's Tyler a search. If I was James, I probably would have just let the Grusbalesta stay recovered. He doesn't necessarily know what is in Tyler's hand, right? But at least it can serve as a giant blocker. At the worst case scenario, it gets pinged by Flame Sprite after the recovery and then Demon Flamed. But again, you don't know what's in Tyler's hand, so taps for another stone. It's going to pay the Rapid Growth to pump up Lancelot. Swinging for 10. He's going to burn the Grusbalesta for 7. Play a Prisia and then crash the Prisia into Grusbalesta, which has first strike, so it'll kill the Grusbalesta and he'll survive. Put James down to 2. Still has 1 stone up. Pass. So like I said, this is the good point where you just manipulate so that Tree is activating when you want him to activate, not when he wants to, and that's how you kind of get around and take your advantage back. See, we have another Alice in his hand. He's had that Alice in his hand since the beginning, and he's finally at 6 stones, so he can just cast it. Out comes the Guinevere. He does finally seem to get one of those Demon Flames, which is nice. Sacrifices a Guinevere. Draws for turn. I would have cast that Rapid Growth during the upkeep so that his Lancelot is 1,000, and then he could just, guarantee that this damage is going to go through. It's going to sacrifice the Guinevere to itself because you can just burn the Guinevere with Lancelot, in my opinion. But it's going to discard the Lightning Strike, which I also think doesn't make sense. Lightning Strike gets around Excalibur X, so he literally could have just cast it, triggered the Alice, and been fine. Plays another Guinevere. Another Lancelot. So at this point, Tyler is in a very fantastic position. So here's a mess up here. Neither of them catch. If you have a Lancelot on field, it has to swing first. So that Prisia could not swing. Out comes the Alice and everything else. And then now that second one is out, the Heavenly Gust is going to come out. It's going to pop both of those Excalibur X's, and it's going to pop the Apollo. He's going to ping the Alice for 1, and then Demon Flame it. So now that Alice is out of the way. So he's going to swing. He's going to flash in the Alice. Now, honestly, Tyler could have won the game right there in response to the Alice cast if he had not sacrificed the Gwen to itself earlier. He literally could have just responded by sacrificing Alice. Oh, they're figuring out their damage, that the damage was incorrect because of the Lancelot stuff. That's why suddenly Priscia's recovered. So if he had kept the Guinevere alive in response to the Alice cast, he could have just sacrificed the Priscia before Alice resolves, dealing 500 damage, and then James is just dead. But if he's got a Demon Flame in his hand or something like that, he can just do it again next turn. So we'll see how this goes. Out comes the Priscia, or it's going to attack the other Priscia and trade. Dew of Yggdrasil? I don't remember what that card does. I think it gives it barrier. Out comes another Excalibur X. So Tyler's now got to deal with that. So I think at this point he can't target Alice at all, if I remember correctly, of what Dew of Yggdrasil does. He's going to swing into the Lancelot. He's going to sacrifice it to Guinevere so he can draw some cards. He's got double Flame Sprite Rapid Growth in his hand. There's that Lightning Strike. Same thing before. If he had saved that Lightning Strike from before, then in response to the cast of the second Alice, he could just Lightning Strike James's face and kill him. Gets rid of the Demon Flame because it doesn't do him anything at this point. Draw. Gets another Rapid Growth. So if I'm Tyler here, I want to try to kill Alice this turn. She is a 14-14, so she's big, or 15-15, either 14-14 or 15-15, either way. But it is possible, so I would probably try to get in as much damage as I can. So I'd like swing in with the Gwen, flip over Sylvia, sacrifice the Guinevere, get my 3 stones back, jam a bunch of Rapid Growths onto the Sylvia, and then just swing in to kill with the Flame Sprites. So he's going to do just that. So in comes the 200 damage, which gets redirected. Sylvia's going to flip. Burn the Guinevere, get 3 stones. Jam Rapid Growth, make it a 14-14. And then recast the Rapid Growth to make her an 18-18. Swing in the air. All that damage will go to the Alice. And he'll just... No, again. So Lightning Strike would work there. He'll swing 2. Then it'll die. And then he can just cast the Lightning Strike and kill him because Lightning Strike doesn't target. But James didn't realize that, and Tyler didn't realize that either. So either way, he just plays the Flame Strike and swings in, and that's the end of the game. He's got plenty of damage to be able to make that happen. So that is it for today. Tyler's relieved he got through all of that. Thanks to these guys for showing off these decks. Deck profile for the Grusbalesta's Treehouse will be up this Friday or Saturday. Probably Saturday. Huge thanks to these guys for playing these lists. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share out this video if you liked it. Support the channel. And until next time, this is DMO73 signing off.